Hi there, welcome to the first official episode of Fashionpreneur Talk with Gitana Styling. My name is Sandra and Gitana Styling is my fashion styling business. I'm here to be your fashion entrepreneur friend. And for those of you who don't know me, I am a stylist. I style fashion shows and photo shoots and films. And I also have this group called the Fashion Entrepreneur Club, which is an online private group that is free, where I give inspiration and support and knowledge to help you grow your fashion business. And this podcast is this is a project, an idea that I've been thinking about for a long time, and that I've been, taking classes, doing research, try to, do all this planning, and that just, time has just gone by, and I got to a point where I was like, you know what, let's just get started. Let's just start doing it. Let's start trying this out. I always receive a lot of questions via email and direct message, and I think the podcast this format is a great way to get those questions answered. You can do it in a quick way. It's easy to consume. So my goal is to answer those questions and also share a lot of what's happening behind the scenes in my fashion business, and the lessons that I've learned along the way that have helped me grow my business. Now, a lot of people know that I put classes out there, I do styling, I do all these different things, but they don't really know where this whole thing comes from. They don't know much about my background, except for the fact that, I started all in TV production and evolved into styling and fashion, but that's it. So my goal today in this episode is to share a little bit with you of that story of what helped me create this whole thing, and tell you, what I do, what I believe in, and hopefully inspire you to move forward with your fashion business. So I did go to school for TV production. I studied to be a producer and a writer. And while I was going to school for that, which I loved, I always loved fashion too. I had a close friend who was involved in the fashion world. She was a model. And I was always going with her to a lot of events. I would go with her to castings. I would go to her events where she was modeling, and I always enjoyed it a lot. And little by little, I started getting involved in that world. And while I was going to school, I started studying to be a model in a modeling school, and then I graduated from that school, and then they hired me to be a teacher. And I used to teach things like runway and makeup and other fashion subjects. And then I started working for their agency, and then they started sending me to castings. So I started doing photo shoots, commercials, catalogs, that kind of thing. And then I realized that I loved fashion, but that I really, really liked the behind the scenes part of it. So I was a very shy person then. I'm not as shy anymore. I'm still shy deep inside, but I'm not as shy anymore. More of a social person now. But back then I was very shy, and I enjoy putting together the fashion shows, for example, or teaching the classes and helping people throughout the whole process, but I didn't enjoy as much going to the castings or me being the talent. So through the studying production journey, I graduated. I loved everything about it, and I started looking for work. and I was lucky enough to find a job. This was around 2008, where the economy here in the United States was a little shaky. And I remember that a lot of my friends, people I went to school with, had a very hard time finding work for the longest time. And I was very lucky to find a job in an independent production company. And at that point, when I had my degree and I was doing, these fashion gigs on the side, I decided, I'm going to go ahead, take advantage of this job opportunity, go in there, learn as much as possible, and just continue to do these fashion things on the side while I learn and I grow and I get experience. So I started working for this production company. I started as a production coordinator, which basically means I help the producer and the director to put together a production. Production could be a commercial, a TV commercial, it could be a film, it could be a TV show, it could be a music video. And I got hired to do that, and very quickly I became a producer and I started writing scripts also, and I even started my styling career in that job. So what happened was I started producing, which is basically putting together the production, which is, holding castings for talent, so we could pick the talent for the specific production. It was putting together schedules of what the production will be like, what happens when is the food coming in, and making all those arrangements so things happen smoothly, and following the direction of the director and handling basically the whole production, which is kind of like in the wedding world, the wedding planner, right? You hire a wedding planner to plan your wedding, so you don't have to worry about it. Just you show up and you get married, right? Or you give feedback to them to help them put the whole thing together. But basically, they do the work. And that's what I did in production. They told me, hey, we're going to do this commercial. And they came with the idea of the commercial and everything. And then I had to put together the whole thing, hire the people, do the castings, coordinate where it was going to happen, get the locations, all this stuff, so the production would take place. And what happened along the way was that at some point, we had an issue with one of our stylists, the person that put together the wardrobe for the commercials and the productions. And because I kept doing my fashion gigs on the side, which evolved at that time to, I started my fashion blog. Then I started freelancing with fashion magazines. So they started sending me to fashion events and do interviews and write about fashion shows. While all this stuff was happening during the weekends and at night, right? My job, the people in my job were supporting that. They liked the idea of me learning and growing in that area. And then at this point, when these stylists couldn't do this gig that we have with this big customer, with this big client, which at the time was Sony, a big client of ours, I saw the opportunity to, ask my boss, hey, can I do it? I'll do the production like always. I'll do everything that you need me to do, but I also want to do the wardrobe. Like, I've been doing this fashion stuff. I've been doing photo shoots. I write for these magazines, which they all knew, and they all, supported me in that path. And they always very encouraging. They always ask me, questions about fashion and advice and stuff. So he was a little nervous about the whole thing because it was a big contract and a big client of ours. But I told him, hey, give me a budget. I'm very good with it. I'll promise you I'll spend half of it, and let me do the presentation. And if they like it, I'll do it. And then he said, okay, let's do it. This is the amount of money you can spend, and put the presentation together. And if they like you, then we'll move forward with it. So it was super nerve-wracking, but it was so much fun. It was such a great experience, and it was really It was something that it was natural to me. I ended up spending even less than what he told me to spend, and I put this whole wardrobe together with options, and I did my presentation, and they loved it. They loved it, and they said, yes, let's do it. So that was like when my whole styling career thing started. And I kept doing that, and I kept doing the production, and I started getting paid for the styling on the side. If there was an opportunity and they needed a wardrobe, they would hire me for that. And also I started doing that for other production companies, like I said, on the weekends and things like that. And, on other episodes, I'll explain how that whole thing got me into opening my own business. But what happened throughout the journey was that as I went more into that direction of opening my own business, I started to encounter all these, questions that we all have as entrepreneurs of like, how can I create my own website, and how can I find clients, and how can I, do marketing, and all these kinds of stuff that no one teaches you really. And that I started joining a lot of groups, but they were business-oriented groups, and not fashion business-oriented groups, right? And these business groups helped me. They taught me a lot of stuff. I met lovely people, but they didn't speak my language. They didn't answer the specific questions I had and the things that I needed to learn to grow in my fashion business. And as time went by, I started joining more organizations within the fashion industry, but I found out that people were very isolated. Like, people will get together to do a collaboration, for example, and people will get together to tell you, they're working on this project, and I'm doing this sale, or I'm going to have this exhibition, but no one really talked about business. No one really talked about how to find clients, how to make a living doing this, how do you figure out your prices, like all these different things that we need to do to make sure that we make a living with having a fashion business. So, and, it's hard in the fashion industry to find friends and to find people you trust. And I've been very lucky to find people that I can connect with that are lovely, and that we've been able to have these conversations. But that's not the rule. And that has come with time and meeting so many people. So I felt this need of creating a place or a space where we can have these conversations, and that's where the Fashion Entrepreneur Club came into birth, basically. That's when I decided, I'm going to open this group. It's going to be free, and it's going to be all about inspiration and support and knowledge to help other fashion entrepreneurs grow their businesses. So then I started to, aside from my styling and aside from production, because I still do production nowadays, I have a production company with my husband, and he acts, he writes, he directs, and I produce, and I put the wardrobe together for him. But my main business is the styling, which I do mainly for fashion shows and photo shoots, which is basically putting together the wardrobes, the outfits, telling people what to wear, and that kind of thing, for those of you not familiar with it. And like I said, throughout this journey, I developed this need. I had this need of talking to other entrepreneurs and asking the questions and creating a place basically where these things, conversations could happen. So I opened the group, and I started putting together different classes where I teach different things of how you can grow your business, whether it's, marketing or social media or different subjects that help people grow and make a living in their business. And also a place where people can ask questions and send me emails and get inspiration and that kind of thing to grow. Because like I said, I felt isolated, and even though I went to groups and stuff, people didn't really talk about these things. So I have to say, throughout this whole thing, I've realized three big things. Number one, I believe that people should be able to do what they love, right, for a living. I as I transition from the TV production world into the fashion world, I bump into a lot of artists, and you know the expression of starving artists, that they were not making any money, that they were putting all this time in, working all these hours, having all this talent, and just being miserable because they cannot, their craft doesn't support them, their life, they cannot pay their bills. And to me that was really, really hard to understand, because I came from a place where they gave you a budget to put a wardrobe together, a budget to put this production together, and then here I am working with this artist and they don't have a budget for anything, or they're not making a profit or even a living out of what they're doing. So it was very hard for me to deal with that. And I was like, this cannot happen. You have to be able, if you are born with a talent and God gave you that talent, and you love practicing it, and you bring joy to the world with this talent, you should be able to make a living out of this talent. So that was another reason why I created the group, because I was determined to figure out ways where you can make a living with your talent. So number one, doing what you love for a living. Number two, having a business that supports that life, right? Having a business that generates that income so you can pay your bills, so you can have the life that you deserve, the life that you want. And number three, also, I'm very big about creating your own opportunities, because I realize also going through this process that a lot of people are waiting for the opportunities to come. Like if you're a designer, you're waiting for that big show to happen so you can go and show your collection, or that big trade show where you can meet with people one-on-one and talk about your business and see where you can sell your clothes. Or if you're a stylist, you're waiting for that big show to send your information in to see if you can style that show, or or that hairstylist looking for this salon that would hire them and pay them more for what they do. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's the path that you want to take. But I feel like a lot of people just wait for these opportunities and they feel very frustrated because they're not generating the income they want. And I'm all about being proactive and taking control of the situation and create those opportunities for you so you can take control and not be at the mercy of what's happening around you. So I'm talking about building your own platform so you can offer your services and taking charge, which could be something like putting together your own show, right, and start showing your collections, or making all these phone calls a week to meet with these people that you meet in the trade shows but in person, to tell them about your business and the ways that you can work together, and just taking a proactive approach so you can have more control about the income that you're generating, right? And there's nothing wrong with enhancing it with the opportunities out there. That's amazing. But then you having a proactive approach to taking control of your life and taking control of your business. So this is kind of like what the whole movement around behind the Fashion Entrepreneur Club is all about. And what this podcast is all about is, again, creating a new avenue to first let you know that you're not alone. And that if you need to have a genuine conversation with someone, this is the place to be, to tune in, to send in your questions. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have, and a place also to get the message out there, to get some inspiration, and to get unstuck and just move forward to do the things that you need to do so your fashion business generates the income that you want. So this is, like I said, the first episode, and We are doing a bit, let's see, it's like 20 minutes now. My goal is to create episodes that are like 15 minutes long that you can just listen to and get your questions answered and get inspired and move forward. And you know, you can always send me your questions to info at gitana GITANA styling.com. And let me know. You can send them and tell me, hey, I don't want you to share my name, or just send your name and where you're writing from, or if you want to tell me your name and the name of your business, I'll be happy to share that with the audience as well. But my goal with this podcast is to basically answer those questions that you may have, those questions that people are very scared of asking, being your friend and feeling, like you have someone to talk to. And also, and let me make a point here. A lot of the stuff we do in the Fashion Entrepreneur Club, I try to make it so it's very nice and cozy and with a very sweet tone, because again, in this industry, it's very hard to find people who are like that. And a lot of people, they need that constructive criticism, or they're looking for that honest feedback, and sometimes that's really hard in our industry. So I want to be that person. I'm not an expert, I'm going through all these things just like you, but I've been years in the industry now, 10 plus years now, working through all these things and building my business. And if I can inspire you some way and answer some of your questions and help you move forward so you can keep growing your business, then this is the place to be. And this is the place where I can do this for you. And I want to thank you so much for listening today. The next episodes are going to have more structure. Like I said, I just wanted to share a little bit about who I am and why do I do what I do and what do I believe in. I'll be sharing some stories throughout this process and answering those questions. So I want to thank you again. This is the first official episode of Fashionpreneur Talk with Gitana Styling, your fashion entrepreneur friend, and I will talk to you guys soon.